Hello, how are you? I hope this live stream, this video finds you doing really super duper well. I'm gonna check quickly and then I'm gonna explain the title because probably the title drew you in, or maybe the title is flaring you up, or you're not sure. But I will explain why I. It's funny, it just came to me yesterday. I'm just gonna lower the volume. But hopefully, people do show up. I would like to have some people in this live. Hello, whoever is here. Thank you for joining. There was one of my live streams I talked about. I can't remember if it was a live stream or one of the short videos that I have on this channel, but I mentioned that suddenly, as I was browsing YouTube, I started seeing people, spiritual people from the spiritual community post and begin to target a specific podcast and a specific person over a podcast episode that they had done where they had discussed their personal relationship, which was a throuple. And the podcast was like a visual one as well as like a podcast. So you had people sitting and you can see them talking. And he brought himself, his wife, and his new Chiquita, young, hot Chiquita girlfriend. And it really flared up the spiritual community that follows a very big podcast, this person. And I think I mentioned that these people tend to be mainly on the left, and the left likes to think in a hive mind. And I'm really not trying to put anybody down, and I'm not trying to poo poo the left. The left is what it is, it's a manifestation of our times. We kind of have to deal with it. But the left operate as a cult. And again, I'm not trying to take away from anyone, including the podcast itself, without mentioning it, because that person, their podcast, and as narcissistic as they appeared in that episode, which was very lengthy, it was like a 2 hour plus episode of him talking about the women he wants to impregnate and bloating and gloating, I guess, about his, pee pee. Anyhow, sorry, I went on a little rant. He did help people. He did help people in the spiritual community. People found benefit in his podcast. Otherwise, his podcast wouldn't be big and as successful, even though it kind of imploded on him after that episode. So that's the reference that came to me yesterday, because I did receive at least 3 more messages after my last live stream that I posted on here. But yesterday's message came in a quirky manner, and the title that came to mind was this, because it's a play. It's a play on the just that situation, including the podcast itself, including how the spiritual community or the people who believe that they are spiritual reacted and started creating videos on YouTube that began to bleed into my timeline, basically attacking this person, attacking the women, attacking the podcast. It just sort of flared up the left. And the left, like I said in the past, tends to sort of turn on itself. So it was very interesting to watch that crumbling happening. And no one is immune. I'm not telling you that I'm perfect. I have a very small channel. I barely get any views, which is great. Great for me. I can come on here and make a big boo boo, and I won't be losing much. All right. So the true throuple, because that was the podcast sort of title, radical monogamy, true throuple, or something like that. Throuple, the modern day throuple. The throuple that I wanted to talk to you about involves you. It's a throuple that you kind of didn't know that you were involved in. So there you go. You're in a throuple. And you are in the center. I do have some notes, by the way. So you're in the center of this throuple, as we all are. Each individual is in the center of a throuple. They don't know it. You are in the center. In front of you is the false self, or the false ego, or the ego, depending on, whatever teachings you follow, what makes sense to you. The character that you have built for yourself and people have built for you and you identify with, the character that you see in the mirror, kind of thing. And then there is the true self. The true self is behind you, or the true ego, which is behind you. And that is the self, or the higher self, or the authentic self that a lot of us probably identified more with when we were younger. And as we aged and as we became more conditioned with society, with teachings, with whatever it is that conditioned us, religion, we lose connection with that true self and we kind of forget about it. So that's the thruple that I'm talking about here to you, a play on words on the disaster episode podcast that fell apart. So I'm saying, and I'm calling this the real or the true thruple. The truth is that you are never alone. And a lot of us, I don't know, maybe, think of ourselves as alone. That if you're not in a relationship, if you don't have, a partner, you feel like something's missing. I'm just alone. I'm lonely. I don't have anybody. The truth is you are actually never alone. But once again, we're not taught this growing up, and it doesn't matter what culture or what society. Hi, Tam. Hello. Salam alaikum. Holy Divine Oracle. I wish I was a holy Divine Oracle. But welcome, Tam. Thank you for joining, honey. Thank you so much for your energy. Hope you're doing well. Feel free to chit chat with me. I might, depending on this live, do a tarot reading or not. At the end, I might do another live tomorrow. So the problem with us is we were born oriented facing the false self. We were born not being told much about the true self. So your higher guidance, your true self, the true ego has always been with you. It is with you right now. It will continue to be with you until comes a point in your existence when you merge with that aspect of yourself. I'm not going to go into the afterlife and that stuff. The problem with humans is the ego. That's the problem. And the problem with the ego is that the ego wants you for itself. Like a very, very jealous, selfish lover. You had one of those? Who just wants you constantly paying attention to them. Look at me, 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 me. Don't look at them. Don't talk to them. They fight with you. If you speak with this person, they get jealous. They want your attention solely on them. And that is one aspect of the throuple. So the problem is the ego. The ego wants you for itself. It wants to keep you busy chasing externalities, including love, which we think is external to us. So the ego constantly wants you paying attention to it and everything that consumes it, paying attention to the world outside of you. I want this car. I want this red, shiny Ferrari, because if I sit in it and I look hot, then, a partner will feel amazing. My partner will find me because I look hot and I will get all this attention. Or if I have this, this big job and this big title and this big salary, people will be intimidated by me because I'm amazing and I have all this power and all this money. This is the stuff that is consuming us because this is the stuff that consumes the ego. This is where the ego likes to play. This is the realm of the ego. Including, like I said, love. So imagine a love triangle, a throuple, which I've, kind of mentioned, and you're pretty much at the center of this triangle. In front of you is the false ego, the false love, the false lover, the fake lover, the lover that's not true. The lover that's not authentic, that you keep chasing, appeasing, doing everything it asks of you just to make it happy, which is never enough and it will never happen. And the minute you make a mistake is the minute that lover, whatever it is, the job, whatever it is, the family, the church, the community that you think you belong to, I'm not taking away. Some of those things are great. And if they're helping you, amazing. Happy for you. I'm talking about the other majority of humans who don't find true fulfillment in these elements, but yet they keep chasing them constantly. I want more money, money. I want more money, money. I want more women. I want to go with this woman. I want to go with that woman. They keep changing jobs. I kept changing careers, just to find happiness in a career. Never could find it. It's never enough. Just so we can feel accepted, just so that we feel that we belong, we want to feel accomplished, we want to feel happy. So that is the false lover, the false life, the false everything that we are forever and a day consumed with from the day we can remember. Behind you, behind us, is the true lover. The true lover is your true self. The reason I compare it to a lover, me personally, I have a very, very love-centered relationship with with the highest aspect of myself, whatever you want to call it, by the way. Your higher self, the universe, source energy, spirit, your angel, your guides, God. It doesn't matter. My leanings towards Sufism are mainly because Sufis, if I think I've mentioned this multiple times, Sufis are known as lovers of God. It's not a fear-based relationship the way we are taught. It's more of a love-based relationship. It's essentially a courtship between you and your lover, your higher guidance, your higher self. That's how I view my higher self. So your true lover is behind you, and that completes the throuple, right? The lover who has been by your side from day one, by the way. A lover you have turned your back on for the sake of the outside world and its appeasement. Meanwhile, it will never turn its back on you, and this is not a being said in order to shame, in order to guilt, or in order to make you feel bad. I know the religion that I come from always made me feel bad. I always had to feel less. I always had to feel negative. I always had to feel like a sinner. I always had to feel like I was going to get punished. I always was kept in a very low vibration in order to appease this entity, which is very difficult to appease. And that falls into the category of the false lover. We've worshipped false idols. It's funny, in the Sufi textbook, one of them that I've read, they call them the do you worship the God with the small g? What is it that you worship? Do you worship money? Do you worship sex? Do you worship whatever it is that you've come to feel is your God, In the Western world, for the most part, God are two things: the government and money. The government and money. At least the way I see it, those have become the false idols that humans worship. And because they are false idols, and because you're worshiping essentially something that's fake, you see how humans treat each other because of those things. You saw how blind allegiance to an authority can cause problems within a society. A small example of that is COVID, especially in the Western world. You see how people treat each other over money. Whatever the situation might be, they are ready to, there are people who will pretty much end your life if you owe them a significant amount of money and you don't pay it, rather than just forgive you and let it be and continue to speak to you. Money is always what do you call it, a wedge between humans. Be it family, be it friends, it really doesn't matter. And this is very noticeable, and I think you would agree that that is the case. So, oh my God, what got me onto here? I sort of went on a rant. So it's constantly trying to communicate with you, and that is your true lover, your true self. When I say true lover, I'm talking about your higher self, your higher guidance that many of us have turned our back on because we don't know how to connect with it. It has always had its hand extended out to you. It has never stopped loving you. It has never not wanted to not connect with you. It doesn't matter where you are in life. It doesn't matter how miserable you are in life. It doesn't matter how hate filled you are. It doesn't matter your status. It always wants to connect with you. It always wants you to turn and see it. It always has its hand extended to you. It does not expect you or want you to be a certain way, a certain behavior, a certain look, a certain mentality in order to meet it. It never stops trying to communicate with you. And that communication comes through probably a lot for each and every one of us throughout the day, throughout our lives. Sometimes the communication is stronger. Sometimes the communication is weaker. Sometimes you listen to that communication because you're trying to follow your gut instinct, or it's strong enough that you know that this is something you should do or should not do, but you still don't know that that's your higher guidance trying to connect with you. We are not taught this. And if you sit here, like I sit here, and talk about it, chances are people will dismiss it as a coincidence, dismiss it as woo woo, dismiss it as chance, dismiss it as anything but true and real, and something that we should learn to follow. It's just the way we are. So the problem is that we have rejected our higher self, our true self, which is behind us. Behind us meaning it's in here. We're not oriented inside of here. We are not told from a young age to go within here and search for anything. Everything is outside. You gotta chase the outside world. So we've rejected anything in here so much and for so long that we no longer recognize it when it is trying to help us. Let me give you an example so I don't sound like I'm just preaching. I think I've spoken about this in previous interviews as well as in previous live streams. When I was in Saudi Arabia, I was doing my internship in a hospital, and my home life was miserable. I had a stepmother who was extremely abusive. She was basically like a stepmother from the Disney, movies, where she hated me, and she really sort of went out of her way to cause me misery in my life. And women at that point in Saudi Arabia were not allowed to drive. And I was post call. I just finished a 24-hour shift, and my counterpart who was on call with me was a man, and I had to wait. I called home, and they said that they would send the driver, but my stepmother told the driver not to go and get me. They never told me. So I was waiting under the sun, the hot, scorching sun in Saudi Arabia outside for my driver. I think I was waiting for a while, for hours. And I was exhausted and I just wanted to go home. And my male colleague came out and he saw me. He was leaving as well. And he's like, what's happening, blah, blah, blah. And I said to him, and he's like, okay, well, you know what? Come with me. I'll drive you home. And I was excited. I was like, great, I'm going to get home. I have a ride. And just as I was getting ready to step into the vehicle next to him and sit next to him, and Saudi Arabia at that point was the gender apartheid, by the way. And if you were seen with someone from the opposite sex, that he was not related to you, like he was not your mahram, he was not your legal guardian, you were going to get into a lot of trouble. Like you were going, and I knew this as a consequence. Chances are I was going to be sort of stopped by the religious authorities, and I was going to be jailed. And usually there's more than that. There's usually like sentencing of lashing, public lashes, and all that. Because it was such a strict gender apartheid society, I was living under radical Islamic rule, which was mainly the Muslim Brotherhood and Wahhabi Islam. So just before I got into the vehicle with him, I had a strong nudge in here. It wasn't a voice that came from outside of me. It was actually a warning that came within me. It was like, do not do this. Something very bad is going to happen to you if you do this. So I remember sort of going back and not stepping into the vehicle and asking him and telling him, you know, I feel like we might get chased by, you know, the mutawa, the religious authorities, and there's many mosques on our way to my home. And, you know, I sort of voiced my concerns. And he said, don't worry about it. You're sitting next to me. They're just going to think you're my wife or my sister. Because I didn't know what that nudge was. Because I didn't know that that was my higher self waving a red flag, telling me danger, danger, danger. I didn't know what intuition was. I wasn't taught any of this. I didn't listen. And I got into the vehicle with him. And within 5 minutes of him driving, we were boxed in by 4 GMCs, because that's what the religious authorities drove. And they almost killed us on that, because we were on a highway. And I was kidnapped, and I watched him get beat, and he was kidnapped, and we both proceeded to experience probably the most traumatic event of our lives, individually. And it turned into quite the ordeal for me. I was in prison for 3 months. I was sentenced to 80 lashes. I was forbidden from traveling for 2 years. It was quite the traumatic event. Now that I have explained to you how your higher self, your true lover, your true self is constantly trying to communicate with you, and it's constantly trying to reach out to you, but we ignore it, we reject it, because we don't know what it is. So we no longer see it, because we have turned our back on it for so long and for so much. And we don't do this out of malice. We do it out of forgetfulness. You probably listened to your intuition more as a child than you do now. You probably were more connected with yourself as a child than you are now. It's because we forget. It's because we don't know. And it's because we don't understand this. So as such, we no longer see our true self. We no longer see that aspect of ourself. You no longer see your lover. So you remain chasing the false love that you think is everything you want, because it's so seductive, and because you think you are alone in this world, when in fact your inner guidance is right there besides you. You're just not looking. And that this world will not accept you unless you conform, unless you change who you are, unless you do the things that this person and that person and the government and society wants you to do. Begrudgingly, you do them, and you think that you're being righteous, and you think that you're doing the right thing, when in fact you are betraying who you are. And I would like to very much clarify that I'm not telling you to go out and hurt people. Being your authentic self does not include hurting human beings. Oh, Iman said that I have to be my authentic self, and I want to go steal. And I want to go yell at this person and beat them up. That's not being your authentic self. That's not it. That's not it at all. So you begin to change who you are, to please this person, to please that person, to please the ego, and betray yourself. not knowing that you have always been enough and you have always been accepted. So, this is the state that many humans, including those who worship false idols, and yes, I am talking about the three main Abrahamic religions, because in reality, they are not that different. If you feel your religion has connected you spiritually to some higher entity and you feel that that is true for you, I am super duper happy for you. But that's not what I'm talking about here. The God that I grew up living and believing is the only God is a horrible God. And it is an oppressive God. And it is an angry God. And it is in fact not a true God. That is what I mean when I say false idols. The man-made gods that have about a list that is, 10,000 points of what things you need to do, say, look like, and places you need to go, and behaviors in order for that God to be happy with you and for you to go to heaven. That's, big no. That's a false idol. That is a man-made God. Hollywood, money, fame, beauty, sex, alcohol, whatever it is, money, job, career. I want to have this status. I want to have a YouTube channel that has 12 million followers so I can feel amazing and I can feel like, I'm a god. So all of those are false idols. That's the small g. That's the God with the small g. That we are, we come into this world believing that we need to worship, and a lot of us do. So where am I here? Love is a two-way street. The sour state humans have arrived at with regards to any higher power, God, not God, it doesn't matter what you call it, is because the ego keeps them in a state of hostility towards the true lover or the higher self. Now envision this situation. I don't know if you've ever been it. I know I have. And how dysfunctional it is. You love someone. Put it into reality. Let's put it into, this reality. You love this person. This person is hot and sexy and they're rich and they have everything that you want in a partner, or at least you think you want in a partner, and you're constantly chasing after this person. This person is 50-50 with you, 50-50. They're not really sure about you. But yet there's another person that is madly in love with you, that will lay their life on the line for you in a second. You don't give two shits about that person. So this is quite the situation now. You actually are annoyed by that person. You don't want them to call you. You don't want that. You feel like, oh my God, it's them again. I don't want to hear them. I don't want to see them. I don't like them. Don't like this person. Don't want to hear them. And you block them. That kind of situation. How is that? Have you ever been in a situation like that like a dysfunctional throuple, a dysfunctional love triangle? That's pretty much where humanity is with God. God is constantly, and again, I really don't like the term God. I refer to my higher self, the universe, maybe. The universe is constant. The universe is inside of you. You are it, by the way. You're both one. The separation, you've created this. We've done this to ourselves because we've ripped ourselves apart so much from who we are to chase the fakeness, to chase the facade. So that's the dysfunction that humanity is, and you're seeing it manifest on the world stage, and you've seen it manifest on the world stage probably from the day you were born, probably even throughout history. Humans have been dysfunctional. Maybe at some point it began right. Maybe we just lost our way. I truly hope so. So you love someone who you can never please, while at the same time rejecting another who loves you unconditionally and treat them like shit. You refuse to not just meet them, talk to them, or be open to communication with them, but you completely reject them. even when all they want to do is help you. I want to help you. Your true self is telling you this is the money that you want. I have it. It's right here. And you're like, fuck off. I don't want your money. I don't want to listen to you. I want this here. This money that someone else can control and take away from me at any point that they want if I don't do the things that they want me to do. You snub them, even when they offer you guidance or a loving nudge, just like I got mine before I was kidnapped by the religious police and thrown in jail for 3 months for being with a boy who was not my legal guardian, my mahram. I got the nudge. I got it. I can't tell you that I didn't. My higher self tried to communicate with me, tried to warn me. What did I do? I ignored it. Why? Because we are too intoxicated with life and the endless chase to see anything but what we think it is that we want. And that is the true Thrupple that I wanted to talk to you about. That's it. That's my live stream. So if you're here, let me know if you have any questions, concerns, or if you watched my other live streams and you have any comments or you want some clarification on anything. I'm going to do a quick tarot because I feel like the live stream was a bit on the shorter side. Let me know. Let me know. 3 people here. Surely somebody has something to say. TMC, any comments, honey buns? Does it make sense? Any guidance, please, regarding the throuple. Guidance regarding the topic of today from the universe. Oops. What flipped? Oh my god, too much. No. Let's get one card, please. Please, one card. Please, one card regarding the universe. Regarding anything the universe wants you to know. Let me put my glasses on. Or regarding the topic of today. Any guidance, please. Be it regarding this topic or something else. Cards are funky today. They're super duper funky. What do we got? They keep flipping. The High Priestess. And the Knight of Wands. The Knight of Wands is very interesting. It's funny, these two, yikes. Wow, I almost got goosebumps, almost. But the message is just like, wheat, just came through. So the High Priestess is, by the way, the High Priestess represents me, funny enough, in the tarot. But this is a major arcana card, and it signifies following your guidance, an extremely highly intuitive person. So I don't know if you're on a spiritual path, but if you are, this is a very good indicator that you are open to the higher realms and you are open to receiving higher communication, and that you don't really have like the veil between you and basically the divine is getting close to being non-existent. Like you're a good channeler. You're a good communicator with your higher self, with your higher guidance. You have that purity. You have that intuition. It's built in you. So you might want to refine it a little bit if you're not there just yet, because you're heading this way. And that's the true lover that I'm talking to you about. The High Priestess is one with herself. She is the representation of the I am embodied. But definitely you have, your higher 3 chakras are balanced, they're open, you're good. You're primed to receive your guidance. So just a little bit of fine tuning, because sometimes when the guidance comes through, immediately the mind begins to override it. You just need to fine tune. You might even want to journal. What's the first message I got, and what's the second message that came after it? Frequently, you'll find that the first communication is the opposite of the second, and you need to follow that first one. Your intuition comes once. Once. It knocks once, not twice. So that's a very good card, and that usually signifies that you are evolving into a higher aspect of your life, into a higher aspect of yourself. Whatever it is you're trying to manifest in your reality, you're minutes away from manifesting. You just need to fine tune whatever it is you need to fine tune. And then you have the Knight of Wands. Funny enough, is a go getter. So those are the it's the throuple. The true high priestess is your true self. The Knight of Wands is a go getter. They're a chaser. They follow. They run. So sort of like if you can think of it in this realm, and you're right dead center between these two energies, and you need to find your balance. If you are a person who's a go-getter, if you see something and you immediately work towards it and run towards it, you might want to start pulling yourself back a little bit more towards this energy. This energy is fast, it's running, it's fast paced, going this way. The high priestess is sitting on a chair, everything comes to her. Where are you here in this situation? Throuple. Where are you? Ideally, for me, I am sort of, I don't want to tell you I'm the divine feminine. I but I do channel the divine feminine. The energy that I like, that I function my best at, is the receptive energy. The energy of I'm going to sit back and let the universe deliver to me. This energy is I'm going to go and, for lack of better words, penetrate. Go after, This is a very masculine, divine, masculine energy. So divine feminine, divine masculine. You need to find your balance between both. You can embody this for a little bit because this reality, this world does need you to put action, but not constantly. Not constantly and not to where we're heading. Action is more of the energy of the world that's dissolving right now. This is more towards the energy of the world that we are heading towards. So you are between these two energies, and you're being asked to pay attention. There's no good, there's no bad. There is what energy do I need to embody for this situation. Having said that, too much of this energy tends to exhaust you. Too much of a go-getter energy will deplete you. It will leave you with empty reserves. I function best with this energy. So there you go. There's your Thrupple tarot reading. Enjoy it. This was an entire full-blown Thrupple episode. So I guess the title was good. The title was good. Does anybody have any questions before I leave? And would you like me to do a live stream on Sunday again? Because there's 2 more topics that I would like to discuss. Or not. It's fine. Maybe I'll do them in short form videos. I don't know. All right, guys. Any questions, comments for me? Let me put a smile in case I decide to change the thumbnail of this live. Big smile and pose with my hair. All right, I take it there's no questions or comments. Everyone's stunned. Do people think I've lost my mind? Like, I sometimes wonder. Iman's lost her mind. We don't know what she's talking about. She's talking about thruples, the higher self, the false self. It's still fun, though. It's still fun to watch. Yeah? All right, guys. Peace out. Namaste. The light in me bows down to the light within you. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments. And let me know if you want me to do a live on Sunday. Bye.